Hi readers, I'm so glad you're here with me today. Have you ever heard of famous events in history? There are so many fascinating stories to discover. Some events are so important that we remember them forever. They shape our world and teach us valuable lessons. We read about them in books, and these stories come to life in our imaginations. We learn about them in school, where teachers help us understand their significance. One such event is called The Last Supper. Have you ever seen the famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci? It was a very important meal, shared among close friends. This meal happened a long time ago in a place far away from here. It was a special dinner with Jesus and his friends who were also his disciples. Jesus was a kind and loving teacher. He cared deeply for his friends and followers. He traveled around teaching people about God and spreading messages of love and kindness. The Last Supper is a very important story for Christians all over the world. It holds a special place in their hearts. Are you ready to learn more about it? Let's dive into this incredible story together and discover why it means so much to so many people. The Last Supper was the last meal Jesus shared with his friends before his death. It was a Passover meal. Passover is a special holiday. It celebrates the Jewish people's freedom from slavery. Jesus and his friends ate unleavened bread. This bread is flat because it has no yeast. They also drank wine. These foods had special meaning. During this meal, Jesus told his friends he would soon be leaving them. He wanted them to remember him. He wanted them to continue his teachings. There were 13 people at the Last Supper. The most important person was Jesus. He sat in the middle of the table. The other 12 people were his closest friends. They were called disciples. The disciples were like students to Jesus. They learned from him. They helped him teach others. Can you imagine having 12 best friends? Jesus loved all of his disciples very much. He knew they would miss him. He wanted to spend one last special meal with them. During the meal, Jesus shared bread and wine with his disciples. He broke the bread into pieces. He gave a piece to each disciple. Then he said, "This is my body, which is given for you." Next, Jesus shared the wine. He said, "This is my blood, which is poured out for you." Jesus was teaching his disciples about love and sacrifice. The bread and wine were symbols. They represented Jesus' love for his friends and all people. This part of the Last Supper is very important for Christians. A famous artist named Leonardo da Vinci painted a picture of the Last Supper. This masterpiece was created during the late 15th century and has since become one of the most iconic artworks in history. Da Vinci's meticulous attention to detail and innovative techniques have made this painting a subject of admiration and study for centuries. It is a very famous painting. Displayed in the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan, Italy, it attracts countless visitors every year. The painting's fame is not just due to its religious significance, but also because of its artistic brilliance. Many people from all over the world come to see it. Art enthusiasts, historians, and tourists alike are drawn to this masterpiece, eager to witness its grandeur firsthand. The painting's universal appeal transcends cultural and geographical boundaries. Da Vinci's painting shows all 13 people at the table. This includes Jesus and his 12 disciples, each captured in a moment of intense emotion and interaction. The composition of the painting is carefully structured to draw the viewer's eye to the central figure. Jesus is in the center. His calm and serene demeanor contrasts with the varied reactions of the disciples around him, highlighting his role as the focal point of the scene. The disciples are all around him. Each disciple is depicted with distinct expressions and gestures, reflecting their personalities and their reactions to Jesus' announcement of betrayal. Their faces show different emotions. Some are sad, some are confused, others appear shocked or contemplative, adding a layer of depth and realism to the scene. Da Vinci used a special technique called perspective. This technique creates an illusion of depth, making the two-dimensional painting appear three-dimensional. This makes the painting look three-dimensional. The use of perspective draws the viewer into the scene, making them feel as if they are part of the moment being depicted. It feels like you are right there in the room with Jesus and his disciples. The combination of perspective, emotional expression, and meticulous detail creates an immersive experience that continues to captivate audiences to this day. The Last Supper is a very important event for Christians. It marks the final meal Jesus shared with his disciples before his crucifixion. This event is not just a historical moment but a deeply spiritual one that holds great significance in the Christian faith. It reminds them of Jesus' love and sacrifice. Jesus broke bread and shared wine, symbolizing his body and blood, which he gave up for humanity. This act of selflessness is a cornerstone of Christian belief. It reminds them to love and serve others. Just as Jesus served his disciples, Christians are called to serve their communities and show compassion to those in need. Christians remember the Last Supper in many ways. They gather in churches, homes, and community centers to commemorate this sacred event. They share bread and wine in a special ceremony called communion. This ritual is a profound expression of faith and unity among believers. They read about it in the Bible. The scriptures provide a detailed account of the Last Supper, offering guidance and inspiration for Christians. They tell the story to their children. Passing down this story ensures that future generations understand its importance and continue the tradition. The Last Supper teaches us about the importance of friendship, love, and sacrifice. It is a reminder that these values are central to a fulfilling and meaningful life. It is a story that has been shared for centuries. From ancient manuscripts to beautiful stained glass windows, the Last Supper has been depicted in countless ways throughout history. It continues to inspire people all over the world. Regardless of culture or background, the message of the Last Supper resonates with many, bringing hope and unity to diverse communities.